The Secret of the Nutcracker, a Canadian made-for-TV film from 2007. Okay, so nothing happens in this movie. If you go into this movie expecting things to happen, like we're going to see a 3-act structure for the plot, or like the actions of the protagonist impact the course of the narrative, you are going to be disappointed. But I say this with love in my heart, because this movie won me over. It's a very emotional film, in the sense that it's not so much about what's happening, but instead about what it's making you feel. The first half of the movie follows a Canadian family preparing for Christmas, trying their best to keep the holiday cheer alive even as the father is held in a prison camp in Germany during World War II. When the oldest daughter, Clara, is coming back from an errand, she is followed by Drosselmeyer, a man who seems oddly familiar to the girl, although they have never met before. The movie is trying very hard to sell this as a whimsical situation, with the swelling music and the stunningly warm performance of the actor playing Drosselmeyer, but it's hard to overcome the strangeness of the scenario at first, because you don't know if this man is actually good. He says he's good, but he is a stranger who keeps trying to get closer to this 12-year-old girl while being guarded by 4 shadowy figures who only speak in squawks. I am definitely not as trusting as Clara is here. And the things Drosselmeyer does are hauntingly benevolent. He is invited to dinner since his kindness has utterly charmed Clara, and when he meets the family, he gives them extremely intricate and personal gifts, like giving the mother a music box replica of her wedding and giving Clara's siblings a toy tank and warplane, with those vehicles being exact copies of the ones the father is known to pilot. There's a sense of both warmth and dread permeating these scenes, and the movie knows it, with Drosselmeyer making cryptic comments about how Christmas is a time for both joy and grief. The family can't help but trust this wizard, and they don't know why. The second half of the movie is a long dream sequence where Clara has intense visions of fighting monsters in the woods, meeting her father at the camp where he's being held, and dancing with fantastical creatures. It's just scene after scene of things happening, but the plot isn't really moving forward. There is no plot. It's not that kind of a movie. This adaptation is a lot more deliberate in its musical influence, with several ballet sequences popping up to accentuate certain scenes or feelings. The very structure of the story closely mirrors the original ballet. You have a family Christmas in the first act and a vivid dream sequence in the second one. There is a Nutcracker, and he's made of dated CGI, but he also shows up in Clara's dream world, and the movie is able to convince us that they share a connection even though they never utter a word to each other. There's this beautiful scene where Clara dreams of this dancing hall with humanoid bird creatures, and all she does is share a glance with her Nutcracker, and I was fully engrossed by the atmosphere they had created. I will admit though, it took me a while to get there. For the first half of this movie, I was often asking myself when the story would kick in. This is why I gave you that warning at the start of this video. I feel like if I had been told from the get-go that this movie is more about the vibe than the narrative, I would have been able to lose myself in the film's fantasy a lot quicker. This is not the flashiest movie, or the most conventional, or even the most cohesive. But there is a charm that permeates every corner. It really does feel like a dream, where you can't tell exactly why things are happening or how you got there, but you just accept the strangeness as it comes, because there's something within you telling you that this feels right. I left the movie with the feeling that Drosselmeyer is like a recurring point of view character, like Benoit Blanc from Knives Out. Drosselmeyer shows up, he confuses and blesses a family at the same time with his extravagant and uncanny gifts. He follows their dreams as they process the burdensome feelings that weigh on their hearts, and then he leaves to find a next family to bewilder. There was nothing special about this family in particular, or about Clara of all children. But because Drosselmeyer chose to visit her, we experienced a vivid portrait of her conflicting state of mind, where the ache of missing her father coexists with her wish to keep believing in magic and happiness. The result is messy but also beautiful, and shows her inner strength with poetry and imagination. It's not a movie for everyone, but if you feel like it might be for you, then definitely check it out. Dream a little dream of a funky owl wizard and let your feelings do the talking. I didn't know I needed this, but I definitely did.